Hello, my name's TDK from Mood Taeg, and I'm here along with Lowell Freeman to give you some information about one of our tracks from our new album. On this album, we made a conscious decision to be more overtly political in our music as compared to the first album, and this can be seen in the particular song we'll be talking about today. The song is called Happiest, Fragment, and the title comes from the Society of the Spectacle by Guy Debord. It's a paraphrase of something he discusses in relation to the abundance and consumption of commodities in modern capitalism. He argues that people are forced into a cycle of consumption from the never-ending provision of goods necessary to maintain capitalism. But these goods and their consumption are, by their very nature, fleeting and only provide a fragment of happiness before the individual must move on to the next commodity in the pursuit of full happiness, which in fact can never be achieved. And so that was the reason for using Happiness Fragment as the title for this track. We also used some of his aphorisms in the vocal content of the track. One of the reasons for this was that for a book written in 1967, it's incredibly prescient in the way that it can almost seamlessly be used to analyse our social media saturated world. For example, when he talks about the monopoly of appearance, it could very easily apply to the ubiquity of Facebook or Apple. And when he talks about the moment, the true being a moment of the false, he could very well be referring to the heavily filtered world of Instagram, where the false representation of life has in fact become the dominant representation, so much so that it replaces the true. The other reason for doing this was that we believe that all art should be political in some way, and this was our way of adding a political dimension, whether it's in the more polemical way, as on the track Pure Motor Reflex, or in a slightly more indirect way, as on this track. Okay, so that's a little background to the title and the vocal content. Now it's over to Lowell Freeman to give some insight into the creation of the track.
Hi everyone, so my name is Lowell from Mood Taeg, and here I'm talking about my favourite track from our new LP, Anaphora. It's called Happiness Fragment. I want to give a big shout out to Adam from Happy Robots and just everyone who's listened to and bought the first LP and the new LP. So, first thing I want to talk about with this track is I think it kind of shows up some of the little accidents that happen during our stuff. So skipping forward, this little red bit here coming up is a good little example of a mistake. So during the recording process there was a glitch with something, microphone technology, and so here this is an example of just leaving things in just because they sound quite good. This little red bit here, that there's a total mistake, but it kind of works. So next thing I want to point out with this track is that these were done at the same time as the sessions, well, most of them for the first LP. So here's an example here of where you end up forgetting the thing that you've done and you repeat it. So this bass line here is actually exactly the same from the track Dialectics on our first LP. Again, I think it's quite nice. It ties everything together, but it's an example of how sometimes you forget the things that you've already done. So the next part here is something that maybe some people will recognise, but it's a clear homage to kind of cluster harmonia. That's certainly what I was going for here, this little red bit with the keyboards coming up. anyone who's heard the Watusi track, I think it's cluster, could be a harmonia. It's definitely what I was going for here. That repetitive keyboard thing going on. And next thing is this keyboard part coming in here.
The real consumer is a consumer of illusion.
Again, I think anyone who's familiar with Kraftwerk might recognise the kind of inspiration for this little part. And then a final little bit before I finish is with a lot of our stuff, you'll hear voices and things underneath the tracks, and a lot of it is just microphones left on during recording, and we tend to just keep these things in, we don't remove them, just add a little bit of atmosphere, a little bit of kind of colour to things. So here's an example here. So again, we tend to always leave this kind of stuff in. Okay, so again, just want to thank everyone for buying the LP, and catch you later. This is a Low from Mood Taeg saying bye.